Hello. Today is Friday the 12th of December 2025. The time, of course, is 10 past tomorrow, and today I'm going to talk about how over the past 3 years or so, 10 past tomorrow has been running what I would call a hybrid AI and software stack. What I mean by that is we've had Microsoft running our email and our calendar system. We've had Google Drive running most of our file storage. ChatGPT has sat right at the heart of it all as our dominant chatbot. And then we've had Gemini, Copilot, Claude, and Notebook LM around the edges doing targeted tasks and processes for us. And it's worked, really genuinely it has. But we see a new thoroughbred in the field, and we're going to back that horse. Over the past 12 months or so, we've started to see a few cracks appearing in our hybrid system. Not necessarily, I wouldn't say that cracks meaning anything's particularly broken, but cracks where there's just value leaking out, maybe. So I mean, like there are inefficiencies for us in constantly jumping between different tools and ecosystems, because you lose context in those jumps. And it also means that often we as the humans and our AI aren't looking at exactly the same data at the same time and sharing our thinking in the same place at the same time. So what are we doing? This summer we are ripping the Band-Aid off. We are making a deliberate move to go fully 100% Google-centric in our stack. So that means Google Workspace for our core productivity tools like Google Docs, Sheets, Slides, Gmail, Drive, etc. Gemini as our main AI chatbot and therefore kind of intelligence partner. And then we're going to make full use of the wider Gemini ecosystem, which is AI Studio, Workspace Studio, Flow, Opal, Notebook LM, and then all of the AI features which are now being embedded directly into Docs and Sheets and Slide and Gmail and Drive. So this is a massive strategic bet for us. And look, there's plenty of organizations that will make a different call, right? Many will stick with a hybrid setup, a mixture of ChatGPT and or Gemini and or Claude and or Copilot and various different file storage systems and email and comms tools. Others will line up directly behind Microsoft and the Copilot ecosystem, which would make total sense for Microsoft-based companies. Copilot, as I've been public about over the last few months, has come a long way and deserves a lot of credit for that. We just personally don't see anyone beating Google in the AI game over the long run, and for the reasons that I'm going to analyze now in this essay. But before I do, I want to be really upfront about something. Although we are going all in on Google, we will continue to run and use the other major tools and platforms in parallel. So as always, it remains our job to be absolute power users of Gemini and ChatGPT and Copilot and Claude so that we can guide our clients who are on those platforms. Our Gemini plans that I'm about to share with you don't change any of that. What we do see is this is a controlled experiment in running 10 past tomorrow as a genuinely AI-forward organization who is keeping up with the technology in the same way that we encourage all of you to be. When I say that, I mean keeping up with the technology, yes. It doesn't mean you have to make a full migration like we do, or that you will need to make migrations like this at a regular, semi-regular, or perhaps ever basis. So let me go back to the plan of this essay and by saying when people talk about AI, the competition in the AI field, they nearly always talk about the actual chatbots. So which one gives the best answer, or who has the most powerful models, or which chatbot has the best personality that we like, or which one's quicker at writing my quarterly report. And that stuff's all super interesting and relevant, but it's not the real game. The AI war that all of the tech giants are fighting actually runs much deeper than the chatbots themselves, and that war is being fought across 4 key battlefields, all of which are really hard to beat Google on. So when I look at who is going to be the winner in the AI game, both now and long term, or winners long term, these are the four factors that I consider. Okay, the first one is capital. Google can outspend almost anyone on the planet, and for as long as they want to. They have all the money to build the giant frontier AI models. They can build the biggest data centers on the planet. They can attract and pay the best human talent. They can, they can fund long horizon AI research that doesn't need to make money straight away. And they can, if smaller challenges present themselves, they can buy them, they can acquire them. And for us placing our AI bets, all of that matters, right? The AI fight won't be won by companies with shallow pockets. The next battlefield is compute, and this one is huge. Compute basically means data centers, right? Google owns their own hardware. They make and they own their own super chips called TPUs. They own their own hyperscale data centers. And so with those two things together, they're unlike the rest of the industry because they're not, the rest of the industry are completely reliant on NVIDIA to supply their compute hardware. Google are not. And so we can't underestimate that. Like, compute is kind of like oxygen for AI. You need it to train the massive frontier models. You need it to serve those same frontier models to hundreds of millions of people at the same time at useful speeds. And you need compute to test and to build the next generation of AI, like at the moment, to build the agentic systems that are coming to us, multimodal AI, and probably, well, definitely, robotics as well. So we've had first battlefield capital, second compute, the third is human talent. And some of the absolute smartest people in the history of AI still work at Google. Demis Hassabis, Jeff Dean, Shane Legg, David Silver, Sergey Brin, who came out of retirement to come back and work on Google's AI models. Yeah, plenty of people over the last few years have left Google to start other AI labs, competition, but many of the most important people who wrote the foundational AI papers that created this technology are still there. And so for us at 10 past tomorrow, when we're kind of considering who are we going to build the next decade of our technology on top of and our workflows on top of, we want the people who have been thinking and considering and working on this for the longest. And so fourthly and lastly, fourth battleground, companies with the most access to the most data have a huge advantage in the AI battle. Data is what trains these models. Data is what gives them their intelligence. Data is what gives them their context. Google has 10 separate products, each with more than 1 billion users. Right? I'll say that again, 10 products that each have more than 1 billion users. Search, YouTube, Android, Chrome, Maps, Google Play, Gmail, Google Drive, Google Photos, and Google Docs. Google sits on decades now of the world's data. No one has more access to data than them. So when you put those four pillars or battlegrounds together, you get an organization that can research and ship things at power, pace, and scale that others just can't, right? They are making and will continue to make faster and more powerful models, deeply integrate into their workspace tools. And, as I'm about to talk about, they are now creating entirely new AI interface concepts that are going to push the boundaries and actually really don't look like anything that we've worked with before. So, with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about where is all this heading. Google, to be fair, they really got caught on the back foot when ChatGPT launched November 30th, 2022. It was pretty awkward to watch for a while. As I say, because so much of the underlying research that actually created this technology came from their labs. And they spent the best part of the last 3 years catching up in public, right? But I think, and I started to say, the writing was on the wall for the rest of the AI players in March this year. That's when Gemini released Google released their Gemini 2.5 model. And for me, that was the moment that they actually caught up to the rest of the field. Since then, they have accelerated and they've pulled ahead. So now Gemini 3 is arguably the best general purpose mainstream model in the world right now. Veo is the leader in video generation. Nano Banana Pro is the gold standard in image creation. And the maths results, they won an International Maths Olympiad gold medal this year. All of those are baked into the off-the-shelf Gemini product. But actually, when you're watching closely, I think Google actually feel that all of that stuff is just foundational for them. Yes, they've caught up and they've pulled ahead, but that's the foundation. And that if we look closely at what they're doing just recently, as of December 2025, they're now moving past the chatbot phase where everyone else is still continuing to play. They're moving into the era of what I recently heard Mike Bailey from the AI Corner describe as liquid interfaces. And to me, this means that Google's aim is, what does liquid interfaces mean? It means like Google's aim is, instead of us opening the fixed apps that we use for certain tasks, apps like Word or Excel or PowerPoint or Sheets or HubSpot or Salesforce or any of the multitude of apps that we have to run our lives and our work these days. Now, instead of using those and trying to bend our workflows and our tasks to the rigid way that those apps are built, now you just tell Gemini what you need to do and what you need to achieve, and it will build a temporary task-specific interface for that particular task that you're going to do. It'll build it on the fly and it'll sit right there inside Gemini. i.e. it'll create an app for you that actually only lives as long as the job that you're doing, and then you stop using it when you're finished, right? How does it do it? Basically, it takes your prompt, writes code in the background, creates an interface, creates the app for you on the fly that you then use, right? And we're seeing this play out right now. Gemini can do this right now. So to kind of bring this to life for you, what's a relevant use case? Let's imagine a workflow that every organization deals with, which is drowning in customer communications, right? And you need a clear view of what comms are coming in, what's urgent, where are the bottlenecks, who should each piece of communication go to. So like up until now, we've lived this process by jumping between email inboxes, maybe a CRM, maybe a help desk system, maybe a spreadsheet someone built 3 years ago, still in the mix, and then trying to piece all of that together to get a picture of what's going on. So what would this new liquid interface world that Gemini has built for us and is making possible? It would work in a way that you just say to Gemini, your prompt would be, give me a real-time dashboard view of all of our customer inquiries across our channels. Use info from our emails, i.e. Gmail, our CRM, our Jira, help desk, any relevant Google Sheets. Group the inquiries by urgency, by topic, and by team capacity, and show me where the backlog is forming. And this is a liquid interface. Gemini, right in front of you, in front of your eyes, will create an interactive dashboard right there. And so it's like a temporary micro app built specifically for the triage of comms for this one task. You can keep using that for as long as you like. And it leverages data from across your whole Google ecosystem and work environment. And so what I'm describing here is that Google is starting to enable a simple front-end interface that any human can use with prompts. That's Gemini, the chatbot. But behind the scenes, they've got these super powerful AI models and agents or agentic processes in the background that pull from all your documents and sheets and CRM and analytics and whatever the job requires. And so that means the richer and the more coherent that our data is collectively within our Google world, the more capable these tools like Gemini and their other AI suite will become. They'll become more powerful either directly as chatbots, as we've been using them up until now, or their capacity to build these liquid interfaces, these apps for us on the fly. That is a new world, right? We have built our world around apps for the past couple of decades. This is a transition away from that. So Google is uniquely set up to do all of this because they need huge capital for this mold-breaking research and the experimentation. They need large, huge compute to power these new interfaces. They need the best talent, human talent, to research and strategize and build these products. And they need mountains of data to train these models and then to add the context that's needed within that training. So this combination is rare. In fact, like only Google has that combination. So to bring all of that back to us, 10 past tomorrow, yes, at this point in time, we still have this hybrid stack that has genuinely served us well, but it's too fragmented for the level of like co-intelligence that we want and capacity to infuse into our complete work environment. And so this summer, we're making those shifts. Our core comms, email and calendars and chat will go fully into Google Workspace. All of our content and IP and internal documentation will go into Drive and the Workspace apps, and Gemini will become our dominant AI platform. So we're treating this whole thing as like a live experiment. Important, as I said at the top, we will be running ongoing a real-time sync between our Google setup and a full Microsoft environment in parallel. So we'll have Google Drive syncing to SharePoint. We'll have Gmail syncing to Outlook, et cetera, so that every piece of data we have lives in both worlds. And that means that we can keep using the Copilot ecosystem powerfully and still continue to be power users of that platform so that we can keep serving all of our Copilot clients as power users ourselves. And of course, we will stay fully literate across ChatGPT and Claude too. We will share what works with you in this experiment, what breaks, and what we adjust along the way. It really is us practicing what we preach, right? We see it as this like public commitment to being an AI-forward organization, and so we're trying to align our internal behavior with the strategic advice that we coach our clients with. And there are risks. Vendor concentration is real. Migration pain from platform to platform is real. We will go through those two things. There will be short-term disruption for us over the summer, but we feel that this is a really well-considered bet on who we now feel is the real titan of the AI industry. The AI game is really about infrastructure, capital, compute, data, human talent. Google's position, we feel, across those four areas is supremely strong, and that's why we're putting our bet on them. If we're wrong, you're welcome to replay this video back to me at the 2026 10 past tomorrow Christmas party to remind me of what I was thinking right now. I'll look forward to that. I also, as always, look forward to comments either directly below this video or find me over on LinkedIn and let me know your thoughts on our 100% all-in bet on Google.